Hello viewers of SSBC. Of course, we do wanted to take you back to what actually took place on 12th of June 2017, the 31st of extraordinary summit of the IGAD Assembly of Heads of State and Government on South Sudan. This very event deliberated on current state of affairs of our country, that is South Sudan, and reaffirmed that the agreement on the resolution of conflict in South Sudan is the only viable solution to the crisis in our nation, that is South Sudan. It further decided that there is an urgent need of convening a high-level revitalization forum of all parties to the agreement, including estranged groups, to discuss concrete measures, that is to restore permanent ceasefire, to fully implement the peace agreement on the resolution of conflict in South Sudan, to develop and revise a realistic timeline for implementation schedule for the democratic election at the end of transitional period. And we do remember that on 18th of December 2017 and 5th of February 2018, the high-level revitalization forum kicks off in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And there is little achievement being seen so far so good. And people are asking what is happening with both the government and the opposition. Why is peace not coming as soon as what is expected of them? And in this forum, viewers, we are joined by Ambassador John Andruga, and we are also having General Majer Denkur, who is the chair of a Security Arrangement Committee in the High-Level Revitalization Forum. These two people will be telling us, this government official will tell us what exactly went wrong, as our people are expecting peace. Welcome to Roundtable Show, both of you.
Thank you very much.
To start with, Ambassador John Andruga, we're just happy to see you back in Juba, despite of the fact that some people were just got surprised when you people left Juba on 5th. There was so much expectation. Even the leadership of the country said this time around peace is coming. People have hope that with the high-level revitalization, finally peace is coming. But suddenly you people came back, and we wonder what went wrong.
First of all, Gore, thank you very much for this opportunity. Greeting to all listeners of the SSBC, wherever they are. We are very grateful that we have this opportunity to explain to South Sudanese population what has happened. Now, where are the problems? Because your question is, why did the government delegation return without peace?
Yes.
Like I say, I will handle on the part of the chapter 1,
yes,
especially, and then Majer will handle the chapter 2. On chapter 1, in the parliament, because of inclusiveness, the government delegation proposed that the current parliament of 400 members must remain intact. And then 10% of the 400 parliament members will be 40%. 40 MP, not 40%, 40 MP.
Yes.
Now if you add 400 plus 40, that gives 440 parliament.
Yes.
The 40 are intended for inclusiveness. Now the government went further, said the current cabinet in the executive are 30 ministers. So we must add additional 12 ministers to make it 42.
42 ministers.
The 12 ministers are intended for inclusiveness.
Okay.
Now, currently we have 8 deputy ministers. So we are saying that let us increase 4 more to make it 12 deputy ministers. Why? It is intended for inclusiveness.
Okay.
Again, in executive, the government delegation proposed that we must maintain the current presidency, where the president, the first vice president, and then the vice president, 3 of them on the presidency. Below it, we have 4 what they call assistant president.
Yes.
Now, the 4 assistant president are going to chair the clusters. We have the cluster of governance, we have the cluster on economic, we have cluster on social service, and then we have cluster in the reconstruction. This will be chaired by the assistant president. Below assistant president, then we have 42 ministers. This is a generous offer by the government of South Sudan for inclusiveness. But our brother did not accept this. On the judiciary, we cover bigger ground, except when it came to the Judiciary Service Commission.
Okay.
This is the body which is supposed to recommend reform in the judiciary. Our brother in opposition are saying they don't the current Chief Justice to chair that body. We propose that it can be chaired by any other judge of competency. But because there was no consensus in that particular paragraph is bracketed. So in short, Gore, agreement or the revitalization was not total failure. There's much ground made. But we must also highlight here, the reason why this process failed is because there are demand by our brothers from opposition. For example, they have got a 10-point positions. I just take two of them. Point number 9 and point number 10 of their position. Point number 10 said they want His Excellency President Salva Kiir should not lead the transitional government. Okay. After the revitalization has been done. Our argument is, and our position as a government is, President Salva Kiir was elected by the people of South Sudan. And the only way to remove him is two ways: through military coup or election. He has to be defeated in election. Okay. Now, the military coup or the rebellion have not defeated the government to impose solution to it. So that has failed. Now, election has not taken place, so that he's defeated. So the demand that the President Salva Kiir must not be part of transitional government does not hold the water. So that's why it is. Number two, point number 9 of their demand, they're saying that the current institutional government must be dissolved. All must be dissolved. A new one is formed. We say no. There is a government in the Republic of South Sudan. The institutional governments are functioning.
Yes.
If there are shortcomings, we have to reform them.
Yes.
As part of the agreement. But the parliament, they are saying, instead of 400 member parliament plus 40 as we are proposing, they are saying that we must reduce this member parliament by first accepting 170 member parliament which were elected during the election of 2010. And then 96 who were elected in the parliament of Khartoum. If you add them together, give you 266. Now, 134 which were appointed as a result of the agreement we are revitalizing now, which gave 68 member parliament to be included. Yes. Plus other which are through specialized committee, like the army as a representative, women group, other group, what they call different group of people who have representation there. So that gives you the number of what we have now. So we are saying, Gore, revitalization is about inclusiveness. Now when you remove 134 member parliament, these are 134 generals going to the bush. Why? Because if those who took the arms, like what they did now, with the Thomas Cirillo, with the Bakasoro, with the Bati Montuil, with the Costello Garang, with the Lama Call, all those groups, what gave them the power to demand that 134 MP to be sacked? It is the can. Now, what will prevent 134?
So we are going to come to you, Ambassador. Let me get to General Majer. You've been heading this committee of security. And then we wonder what happened while you people were there. First of all, if we talk about what took place last time, the cessation of hostilities and even this ceasefire, it was not respected. The government is blaming the opposition. The opposition is blaming the government. When you went to Addis Ababa for this high-level revitalization, what took place as you head your committee?
Let me thank you first, Gore Anthony, and let me thank the viewers of SSBC.
Yes.
In the actual fact, when we went from here, we went with a clear vision that we need to bring peace back to our people who are suffering, whether they are in protection camps or suburbs of the towns or in refugees camp in other countries.
Yes.
That was what the president told us when we were leaving this country, that you need to come with peace. When we went there, the situation was different. The situation was different, And I attribute this to when the Americans imposed arms embargo on the government of South Sudan. To me, this has sharpened the appetite of the rebellion.
Do you want to say because of the arm embargo, now you people could not agree, you opposition and the government? Was it because of the arm embargo or something else?
I'm saying this because it has sharpened the appetite of the other armed groups, because they had a belief that since the government is sanctioned, then it will be easy for them to defeat the government, and also they were thinking that why should they work for a government that is going to fall in some days to come. This is my perception. This is how I see why we did not come to a conclusion of this agreement. First of all, when we were discussing the security issues, we were three in our committee. The committee was led by myself and Major General Rabi Emmanuel Mujung and Major General Gabriel Gadwij Poch, three of us. And the opposition groups, they were 27. And so it was 3 against 27.
So the 27 has to overpower you?
Well, it's a matter of logic.
Okay.
If you are telling the truth,
yes,
nobody will overpower you. So we stood firm on our discussions because mainly the areas of differences were fewer than the areas that we have agreed. But I don't know what happened at that time, because we were expecting to continue, but the meeting was adjourned.
What were the areas of differences between you and the opposition?
The areas of differences were, from the very beginning, we differed on the title of the title that was given to the security arrangements. The IO was saying establishment, security to be established from the very beginning, a new establishment. And we were saying, no, you cannot establish, because the army that we have now is the same army that liberated this country. When they were fighting the war with Sudan. So we are saying it should be a reform. And reform is a process. The other armed groups were going for a reestablishment. That means the whole army is to be overhauled. And then a new army to be brought in. And we were saying this is another promotion of rebellion. Because the army that we have now, they are still with their guns.
Yes.
And if you are going to dismiss them all, then they will not hand over their guns to us.
Yes.
They will not hand over their guns, and they will still fight us.
Yes.
So why should we go for another rebellion? And we are trying to solve this issue.
Yes.
So let us solve this issue because it needs a solution now. But we cannot solve an issue by bringing another rebellion.
Yes.
You solve a rebellion with rebellion, then it will not work. And then we are putting problems on our people. So that is one area. We disagreed from the very beginning on the title itself. We were saying it is reform. We call it reform. They say it is not reform. The other issue, which is minor, we can agree upon if we were really discussing genuinely, is the issue of the armed forces that came to support the government at that time.
During the 2013 crisis.
During the 2013 crisis. And it is known to everybody, including my brother Thomas Shirello,
yes,
who left recently from here, he knew that the Ugandans already left
Yes.
the country. Those who were in Bor and around Juba here, they have already left the country.
Yes.
The same thing for the forces that were in Western Equatoria. The Ugandan plus the Americans that were fighting the LRA,
Yes.
also they left the country. So we were saying, this point, it is in a vacuum now because the forces have left, but they say it has to be retained, it has to remain there. We are not believing on what you say. The issue is matter of trust.
There was lack of trust between the government and the opposition.
With us, we don't. I cannot say I have a lack of trust from the oppositions, but because I'm here, and the opposition is out, so they have lack of trust on the government because they are out. So,
General, Ambassador John Androgas, before we go for break, people are saying, our people, the citizens are saying they are sick and tired of the situation. You know what is happening. Everything is becoming just very hard. And they're saying we cannot continue like this. We want peace today, not tomorrow. And here you are, Ambassador, you say there are so many points of disagreement between the opposition and the government. The demands the opposition are making, like what it was said by a government spokesperson, is saying impossible demands. Now, citizens are saying they want peace today, Ambassador. What will be the next move now?
But I wanted to put the information in proper context. I'm not saying that there's so much point of disagreement. I say there are more area of agreement and there are few area of disagreement. Therefore, that's why the area where there's an agreement, they were initial. We have initial where there's no problem. I did highlight to you where are the disagreement.
Yes.
Now, this disagreement is because our colleagues from opposition do not want to work within the framework of the objective of the revitalization. I did mention to you that the revitalization is specifically about restoring permanent ceasefire.
Yes.
That is objective of revitalization. I also say that the revitalization is about achieving full inclusive implementation of the agreement to resolve conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. I also did say that revitalization objective is to develop a revised and realistic timeline.
Yes.
Forward to implement the schedule toward democratic election at the end of the transitional period. Now, if these are the three objectives, where does it say in the revitalization that President Salva Kiir must resign?
Okay.
Where does it say in the objective of revitalization that the government must be dissolved?
Okay.
Like my colleague Majer said, they are demanding now establishment of new army. Where is it say in that objective? So we are saying this, Gore, let our people get this thing. Even the opposition group who are in diaspora, if they listen, let them hear this. In order to get to the peace, we must work within the framework of objective or revitalization, which are 3 points, which I just mentioned. Anything else should be done through other means. President Salva Kiir can only be changed through election, Gore. Let people not beat around the bush about it.
Yes.
There's no mandate on the revitalization to change President Salva Kiir.
We'll come back and discuss that more. Viewers of SSBC, let's just go for a short break and we pick up from there as we discuss on efforts that both actually our citizen and the government are actually gearing up to ensure that peace is finally brought back. Please do stay tuned. We'll be coming back short right away.
The Roundtable Show is a platform where we discuss topical issues that affect the nation. We engage our guests in hard questions and get their inside views on the matter. Join us on the Roundtable Show on SSBC every Friday from 7:20 p.m. and repeat on Saturday at 12:20 p.m. This is Roundtable Show, the voice for the voiceless.
Yes, viewers of SSBC, welcome back. You're still watching the Roundtable Show. As we told you from the beginning that here we discuss about the revitalization, why things did not work out, and what happened is what Ambassador John Andruga and General Majer are explaining to us. And let's get to hear what next after this. General Majer, let's now get back and hear exactly what happened in your committee of the security, because you said you were 3 and there was 20-something members, from the opposition sitting with you 3. And then we would like to know what could be some of these areas that you people disagree on, concrete areas that you feel like, oh, things are getting out of hands.
Well, thank you once again, Comrade Gore.
Yes.
Actually, the areas of disagreement, as I said before, were very few.
Okay.
And if we were to be given a chance to come to them again,
Okay.
I think we would have agreed.
Okay.
There is this issue of cantonment of forces.
Okay.
The IO is saying all the forces are to be controlled.
Yes.
All the forces. Then we are saying, no, this will not happen because the government has other obligations that are supposed to be done. Okay? So you cannot control these forces. Second to it, where are you going to get the resources such that you control the whole country? Because when you control forces, then you need to bring them food
Yes.
wherever they are. Okay? And this will not happen. So we're saying it is the forces that are in proximity of the war now, that who are close to each other, that can be controlled. They can be disengaged, okay? Engaged, separated, and controlled. The other issue is the IO are saying unification of forces. And then we are saying it is not unification, but we will go for reintegration.
Okay.
What do we mean? What do they mean by unification? They mean by unification that the forces that they have, okay, even if you are 70 years, and because it is unification, there is no way you will say he's 70 years, let him stay out of the army, or if he's blind, there is no way you will say he has to stay out of the army. So we are saying instead we go for overhauling the army, the total army. Let us go for transformation, and we bring new blood into the army.
Okay.
And it has to go gradually.
Yes.
Okay? It has to go gradually such that we don't embarrass others and they go and carry war against the government again.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? So this is our stand on the issue of reintegration.
Ambassador John Andruga, according to what the head of security committee in the high-level revitalization just mentioned, like there are some point of disagreement, but hopefully they will agree. Now let's get back to you, your chapter 1, which is in the government, of which there are so many things that were given up. Are you having hope that when you people go back, you people will still be able to agree, or this is where you people are going to be in installment where no movement, a static position?
Let me say this to you, Gore, and people of South Sudan, and indeed the international community, that in order to have peace in South Sudan, it requires also the 4 neighboring countries.
That is?
That is Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda play a constructive role for peace.
Okay.
Because without these 4 neighboring countries playing constructive role for peace. No matter how much we do in South Sudan, there will be no peace in South Sudan. Why? Because the factory, which is manufacturing rebellions, are not in South Sudan. These factories are in neighboring country. It is like what we are. If we don't close that factory, it is like there's a running tap, and then you're trying to mop the floor.
Yes, and the water
Water
keeps
keep on
flowing.
coming.
Yes.
It will never dry up. Because what happened in South Sudan, got it. We must say this to people of South Sudan. Every time rebellion happened, we made agreement. The rebellion become rewarding factor. And this must be addressed as South Sudan.
Okay.
Revitalization must address this attitude that when you don't get position in the government, you go to the bush. And then you fight, you kill innocent South Sudanese, and then you kill your way back to government.
And you're given high position.
And you go as a sergeant,
And
you come as a general.
Whose fault is that?
I hope you will ask Majer, how many years does it take him
To become...
to become Major General? And then some people, within the last 6 months, they are not Major General, some even more than Major General. This is why we're saying this artificial title of the military is what is killing South Sudan. We want to appeal to international community, Gore. Appeal to the neighboring country. You help people of South Sudan to end the conflict by closing the safe haven for this rebellion.
Ambassador John Andruga, don't you have a turn where you have to blame the government for rewarding rebellion with something very, for example, somebody today, General Majer went out of the bush, like if he is sacked today by the president, God forbid, if president relieve him today and Majer feels so bitterly, he goes to the bush and organize a rebellion. When he comes back, he's rewarded.
But ask Majer, how many years does it take him to be where it is? Let me answer to you.
Majer, tell us. Just to cut you, imagine you have a colleague who was not a general, who left Juba, and when he comes back, he's going to be above than you. He will have a title bigger than yours. How do you feel? LT General, and you still, what do you feel? And whom do you blame?
Let me tell you this,
Yes.
Gore. It is true, we are being blamed for that. You know, in 2006, I was part of the committee that was integrating the other armed groups.
Okay.
We did it at that time because we were buying peace from Sudan.
Buying peace. You
We
want
were
peace.
buying peace from
Okay.
Sudan.
Okay.
And that is why we brought in around 18 major generals and one first lieutenant general at that time. While we were 12 in the SPLA was having 12 major generals at that time. We did this because we are buying peace.
Okay.
And I'm not regretting from having them because we bought peace and that is why we are independent today.
Okay.
Otherwise, if we were not to do this, the war would have continued and we would have not even gone for the referendum that brought us the independent.
Yes.
I myself, I'm seeing it from a different perspective.
Okay.
Whether he's a general or what, he can come in if that is going to bring peace.
Okay.
Because the ultimate goal is to bring peace into South Sudan. I know there are some people who promoted themselves alone.
Yes.
Okay. Now they are major generals. And it took me 34 years to become a major general. 34 years. Okay. In 34 years' time, I became major general.
How do you feel somebody who has 5 years and is general? LT general, 6 months. How do you feel? And he comes next to you and sit with you and you see him, he's more higher than you.
You see, I don't feel any grievances against him.
Okay.
Because my ultimate goal is to have peace.
Okay.
And if I'm going to have peace, I will accept him. If he's not going to rebel because the rank has been taken from him.
Ambassador Andruga, do you blame, let me just ask you this, do you think that IGAD, AU and the international communities fail people of South Sudan to attain lasting peace, or do they have some shortcomings towards I mean, that make people of South Sudan not to realize peace?
The agreement on 2015 failed. We, the South Sudanese, have our own failure. International community have its own failure.
Okay.
There's a collective failure on both sides. Nobody can stand up and say he has no shortcoming. Government, the opposition have their shortcoming. International community has their shortcoming. That's why we are saying now, let us revitalize this agreement to move forward. But what we're saying here is, you revitalize it within realistic time frame.
Okay.
The realistic time frame is things such as 32 states. These are not, cannot be resolved by a revitalization meeting in Addis, because these are constitutional issues. I come from a very small area called Greater Magui, Pageri. We are demanding for another state. I cannot sit here and say, abolish the 32 state, because we need a state.
You need another one.
Yes, we need a state in order to bring the service to the people. There are more people who want a state. So we are saying, during the constitutional review process, where everybody will come there.
Okay.
In Addis, these are a bunch of politicians from opposition, and then there's a government. This is not the representative of the whole of South Sudan.
Yes.
There are 4 political groups in the government, and there are a number of opposition groups in opposition there. They cannot decide on the constitution of the Republic of South Sudan. We must have constitutional review process at the end, toward the end of the transitional period, where we agree on how many states do we want, what type of government do we want. Do we want a presidential system of government? Do we want a parliamentary system of government? Do we want a confederal system of government? Do we need what? It is up to the people to do through constitutional review or election.
Okay, General Majeras, we're about to conclude. We are hoping that you people will go back. In case that happens and you people go back to Addis Ababa and you finally attain peace, are you optimistic that this peace will last? Because we have seen it in 2015, where people signed peace. The former first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, came in and suddenly war sparked. People of South Sudan are asking that General Majer, if you people go back with the team of the government and you agree with the opposition, are we hoping that this is a lasting peace, or we are expecting another war again?
What I would like to say concerning the question that you posed to me, it is the political will. Whenever there is a political will, agreements can go on.
Are we seeing this political will, General? Is there a political will? Are you seeing it in the government? Are you seeing it in the opposition during your discussion?
Well, with the government, I say we have the political will.
Okay.
And that is why the president told us, you must come with peace. Okay. That is a political will.
Opposition are saying you don't have political will.
They have the right to say so. But from us, the way we have articulated ourselves and what we have given during the opening session, when Comrade Nyal was addressing the meeting, I think it was very articulate, and it was giving so much.
Yes.
That means if you are giving so much, then you are willing.
Okay.
So I think we are willing to have peace
in South Sudan. Ambassador, we have run short of time, but there is something I just wanted to tell you. You know, our people, there is this something going on social media where everyone is saying that there is a proposal by IGAD. But you've been there. You could be the very right person to tell us what was the proposal that IGAD puts across, because sometimes we hear that there is a position where we will be having 4 vice presidents, what, and this. So I don't want to elaborate on that, but just tell us, what was the position of IGAD after when you people, both opposition and government, came to this agreement?
IGAD did not put a position. In normal negotiations, there's something called zero draft.
Okay.
Zero draft is a proposal put forward to generate reaction from the parties.
Okay.
In this zero draft, the IGAD proposed that the power sharing formula in executive should be 51 for the current Tigonu and 49 for opposition.
Okay.
And then they went further, saying that this ratio, there will be 2 ministerial positions given to former political detainees outside the 40 to 51, 49 ratio.
Okay.
They are proposing that there must be 32 ministers in transitional government.
Not 40.
Not 40, not 42 as the
42.
government proposing. So these are zero draft of the IGAD.
Okay.
But we as a government, we submit our proposal to IGAD. That we, instead of 32, let's have 42
Okay.
minister. Why? For inclusiveness.
Okay.
In the parliament, we say instead of having 400,
Let's
and
have
then,
440.
and then send home 134, we're saying that maintain the 400 and add 40.
Okay.
These are a concrete step for inclusiveness. So if anybody is fair, people of South Sudan and the government, what government proposed is not unreasonable.
What was your reaction? What was the stand of the government towards this zero draft of IGAD, ensuring that there is 30 ministers, the 51% of power sharing is given to government?
They gave 32 ministers, 2 go to former political detainees, and the rest of 30 is
How
divided.
did you people receive this?
We are saying that that ratio does not represent the actual representation of government under the original agreement.
And the opposition?
That, let me say this, opposition refused to respond because they said they don't want to discuss this thing.
Okay.
But let me say this, the current agreement provides for 53% to the SPLM in the government, 33% to SPLM-IO,
Okay.
7% to the former political detainees, 7% to the political party divided into 2 groups. One is called Agenda, led by Dr. Martin Elia, the Minister of Cabinet Affairs. Another one called Alliance, which was led by Lama Col by then. After Lama Col left voluntarily, now the next person was Cornelio Col, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture. We are saying that nobody defected from the government. The SPLA-IO split into 2 groups. One group led by the first Vice President Taban Dengai,
and
another
the other
group with Riek Machar. So the 33% of SPLA-IO need to be divided among the 2 SPLA-IO.
So this 33% will be divided by the IO, which is led by Riek and the first vice
Because
president.
that's the ratio they have under the agreement.
So how will this...
No, I'm just saying, understand it very well.
Yes.
I'm saying our proposal is the current agreement before revitalization has divided the power as follows. 53% to SPLA-IG. IG means the SPLM in
the government, yes.
And then 33% to SPLM-IO.
Yes.
This is that 53% of the government is translated to 16 ministers.
Yes.
And then the 3% of the SPLM-IO translated to 10 ministers.
10 ministers.
10 plus 16, 26.
Yes.
And then the 7% of the FD transferred to 2 ministers. That make it what? 28. And then the 7% of the political party, also 2 ministers. That make it 30 ministers.
Yes.
Now we're saying that let us look at the current ratio. How many people defect from the government? SPLA, IG, 0. So the 53% of the IG remain intact. How many are defected from the SPLA-IO? Riek Machar and some ministers. So we must calculate the ratio. This is what we want to discuss.
Okay.
If you split the 33% of the SPLA-IO, percentage go to SPLA-IO Riek, which is the war groups, and then
The peace wing.
the peace wing of the SPLA-IO led by Taban Dengai, and then we must agree on the ratio. The former political detainees, they have 1 member defected. That is the former governor of the Lake State, Chol Tong, because they called them G10 before. Out of G10, 1 went and joined IO, that is Ezekiel, the Minister of Petroleum.
Yes.
Chol Tong left, joined the SPLA. So we are left with the 8 members of the former political detainees. Now Madam Rebecca joined them. Now they become 9. They should be called now G9,
Okay.
not G10. But whatever, that does not matter. They can maintain their percentage minus the percentage of Choltong and Ezekiel.
So you need to pick it out from this
This is a reality.
7%.
This is a reality of the
Okay,
agreement.
okay.
But in total, Gore, let us be serious.
Yes.
Because people of South Sudan must know this factual information.
Yes.
IGAD should tell the people the truth. What we need is inclusiveness,
Yes.
not exclusion. So we're saying that the government is not about power. But in South Sudan, Gore, why people rebel is power.
Yes.
I can say this in July 2013. If Riek Machar was not sacked as vice president by then, and then the entire cabinet were not dissolved, I can say this. This is my view, not the view of government. We would never have a war in 2013.
Yes.
People went to war in 2013 because the ministers who were sacked, who were removed, they started, there's corruption, there is injustice, there is what. But they don't say this when they're in the government. Even Riek himself, when he was vice president, he never opened mouth anything about corruption, about mismanagement, about reform, about human rights. He never talked about it.
Okay, Ambassador John Andruga, we have just, we're going to cut you short. Finally, just, of course, viewers, we have a lot to talk about, but time has cut us short. General Majer, we just wanted to say thank you for coming, and Ambassador John Andruga, we will fix another time. Viewers of SSBC, thank you so much for joining us. That has been discussion on the issues to do with the high-level revitalization forum. It's still, as the two government officials said, there is a hope that peace will come. So let's continue to give them that chance that we'll still keep our hope and see what will be the next move towards ensuring that peace comes to our nation. Ambassador John Andruga, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for joining us. General, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope to sit down again.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.